It's
know,
back to my first question to Lindeman, actually. Let's go bring him on.
You hit him with that right off the top?
We're starting with his team as to what the hell's wrong
Oh,
with his team.
look at this
Matty
guy.
Lindeman from Wynnbet joining us once again here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Matty, Matt, and Dave, how are you?
What's good, guys? I got a great story about that Iowa-Michigan State game right off the bat if y'all want to hear it.
Let's do it.
Oh, hit that first. Go.
One of our customers asked us to go ahead and grade that game so that he could bet his winnings on the next game that was about to start with about 30 seconds left in regulation. I mean, it had to be the most amazing thing. He bet it in running. He had something like plus 3.5, plus 4.5. Asked us to grade it before the game was over, and didn't get to bet that next game as it turned out. So that we were sitting there just stunned. We couldn't believe of all games someone to come in and ask that, and then for that to happen. I think they said it's only the fourth time in D1 history that a team's come back from like 11 down with less than a minute left, something like that. So
The old
pretty
the
nuts,
old
man.
try to grade the game before it's over
Yeah,
move,
sorry,
because I'm
buddy,
just
we
gonna
can't help you.
because I'm just gonna bet it anyway. So can I turn those winnings over?
Go ahead and pay me. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. What was Saturday like over there? Just in general, because college basketball is heating up. I saw you put up some stuff on conferences, to win their individual conferences on us. I'm gonna let you tell everybody about that. But tell people how much, I mean, the job is the job. And some days it's hard. Some days you hear a lot of shit. But this is a fun time of year, is it not? And Saturday was a microcosm of that.
Yeah, there's so much going on that we aren't even really as involved in the booking of the games of college basketball and NBA as you would think. So we're gonna have a lot more hands-on approach in March. We're gonna be booking a lot more of the college basketball. But right now we got Massachusetts up and going a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we've got two systems going. We've got a lot going on between all the states. So right now we're not as involved with booking the games. We're more getting futures up, doing MLB stuff, monitoring stuff like the in running stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to be jumping in more with the events that we expect a little higher handle in a few weeks. We'll probably book the Power 5, Power 6 conference tournaments and then the NCAA tournaments. But right now it's literally like, yeah, let's just cover all our bases. Let's make sure the golf's good. Let's make sure we got all this baseball going. Let's make sure we're staying on top of the NBA futures, which you can really get tripped up this time of year if you're not paying close attention to that stuff. So there's a lot going on right now. Yeah. So, we weren't necessarily booking those games. We didn't have any big decisions, but it's fun to see some of these buzzer beaters coming in and some of these
Yeah.
games. It really is starting to feel like March. It's kind of cool to have a Saturday with just three absolutely crazy last second shots going into, this final week of the season.
We'll get more with Wynnbet and Encore and what's going on in Boston here in a second, but you're a Kentucky guy. John Calipari was my alma mater's best coach ever. UMass's peak was the Final Four appearance my freshman year in college. It's been a long time since that happened, but Cal, with your team at Kentucky, everything I am reading that it is not good right now in Kentucky for Wildcat fans. How are you feeling about your program? And if they miss the dance, is Cal gone?
What?
Okay, well, I think with what's happened in the last like 2 weeks or so, they're not going to miss the dance. I think they've done enough between beating Tennessee, beating Auburn like they did on Saturday. I think they're in the dance pretty firmly now, unless they just lose every game from here. But so I mean, from a short-term perspective, I think things look promising. The team's playing well, but I told somebody the other day, this is my least favorite Kentucky team so far under Calipari, just for the simple fact that they pretty much showed us the first few weeks of the season that they don't have the ingredients to make a deep run and win a national championship, and they're not an elite team. And now they're kind of making do with guys who weren't supposed to be playing, starting at guard. The guys that were supposed to be in the starting backcourt haven't really panned out. I don't know how that's supposed to work in March. If your best player is a big man, you're going to be banking on referees not screwing you for six straight games. It's really tough to get through six straight tournament games without a ref that calls two fouls on Sheboy in the first 5 minutes. So if you don't have guard play, I don't know how you're supposed to make a deep run, and I don't really see that with this Kentucky team. So despite how well they're playing, I think you look at some of the wins. Auburn's down this year. Florida just lost their best player.
Yep.
Tennessee's kind of in a rut right now. I don't know if I've seen a single win that has made me say, hey, this Kentucky team is really a contender again. So I feel like they're giving a little bit of false hope right now in Lexington. So we'll see. I don't know.
If he goes to Texas, if he goes to Texas, is that celebratory or is that upset if you were to go take the Texas job?
I think that 14 years in Lexington, Kentucky is more than enough time as a college basketball coach. It is such a hard job. Like, I
Yeah.
really would not blame him. And I think it would be kind of a mutual agreement at this point. Like, hey, let's try something different.
Wow.
I don't think there would be the hostility that there might be if this, super incredible recruiting class that he has coming in next year. If they disappoint next year, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a lot like when Tubby was here, and it was just kind of awkward for a couple years.
Tubby years.
So, I was in college for that. Yeah, it was not great. Tubby couldn't wait to get out of town. So I think he's probably not going to Texas because he wants to see this next class through. I think it's probably his best recruiting class yet, and that's saying a lot. So I think he's going to see how next year goes. But yeah, if they don't make a splash this year, and then next year is another one of those years where they're top 2, top 3 preseason and end up losing 8, 9 games and they're 4 or 5 seed, I don't think he's going to be around after next season. So he needs to do some damage this year or next. Like,
enough with the Kentucky bullshit. All right.
Okay.
People in the brigade want to know what Matty Lindeman thinks as far as NCAA basketball futures. Like, it is the hard. This is really hard. Like, you could sit there and book the stuff and all this stuff. It is really, really hard. We sat with Kessler a week ago and we started talking, and Kessler's got a pretty decent opinion about college basketball. He summed it up like this, Matty. What'd he say, Perrault? Everybody
sucks.
Everybody sucks.
Everybody sucks.
Is there any position that you guys have, or at least, are taking a position with anybody, or are you just going to just book it and let it fall chips where they fall where they may?
All I can really tell you are the teams that I don't like that much compared to the price. I don't have any teams that I'm like over the moon about. We protected Alabama all the way down. And then, people just bet them at 10 to 1, 12 to 1, 8 to 1, whatever now anyway. So like, we don't win any money. I loved them when they were 30, 40 to 1, but they're the most complete team in my opinion, but now you got all the off the court, controversy. Yep. I don't know what exactly is going to happen with that. I think
it might fuel them. It might actually be a benefit. It might be a rally for them to circle the wagons.
I don't know. Even if this kid is, completely, found to be innocent, like it's just so much pressure. Like you got to feel like there's 100 million people watching you, rooting against you at that point. Yep. So it's going to be a lot of weight on them. And then I think you look at the favorite, Houston. They're the same. They're in the same exact spot as the Zags have been in so many times. They're the team that beats up on mid-major competition. They've got an inflated power rating. They're the clear number 1. And then when they come in and they play elite talent in the tournament, they just don't stack up. And so you've got the Final Four in Houston. You've got Houston alum Jim Nance calling his last Final Four in Houston. How much pressure is that for Houston to make that Final Four, to get and win that national championship as favorites? It's too much, in my opinion. I think, and we saw it last year. They followed up their most impressive win over the last 2 years was that Arizona win in the Sweet 16. They followed it up with a dud against Villanova. I don't know if they have the juice to get through 6 games against really elite competition with that amount of pressure on them. I don't know. So I think we kind of have another year where it's like a Gonzaga last year where I don't really trust the favorite. So I'll go as far as to say I think this could be the first year since 2014 that we have like a 4, 5, 6, 7 seed as a champ. Like I think it's that. I mean, the 2 seeds are really, really strong this year. If you want to bet on the 1s, 2s, or 3s, this is a year to take the 2s. But I think this is a year where it's wide open enough and there's enough parity that I really wouldn't be surprised if some team came out of nowhere and won something.
Is Mattress Mac on anything at Wynnbet with you
guys?
He's
got to be coming with the Cougars, right? I was thinking about that the other day.
He is.
I'm going to be in trouble because I've already taken way too much Houston. So if he comes in, man, this guy's going to put us out of business as Houston champions.
Oh, but that's all right. Take that. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
You mentioned the conference championship markets you guys have put up, and you mentioned Gonzaga. So Gonzaga beat St. Mary's over the weekend. St. Mary's beat Gonzaga at St. Mary's. Obviously, they come here to play the West Coast Conference tournament. They're going to run into each other in the championship game, and we'll see what the rubber match game going to work out with. What numbers do you guys have up for Gonzaga in St. Mary's to win the West Coast Conference tournament?
Now, this is a cool one because if you go and look at Ken Pom and Torvik, which everyone swears by, you'll see on both sites that they have St. Mary's above Gonzaga. Yep. You look at the line from Saturday. What was Gonzaga laying? Like how many were they laying on
close
Saturday?
6.
Yeah,
5.5, 6. Yeah.
And then you look at the betting markets for the West Coast Conference, and Gonzaga's the favorite. So I think we open minus 125.
Okay.
Gonzaga plus 120 St. Mary's, and then everyone else is a long shot. Yeah, I have Gonzaga like 2 or 3 points above. So Gonzaga is really high in my ratings right now. They're up there in the like top 5 or 6, which is probably, similar to most years. It's a little inflated, but that's a team that I'm looking forward to seeing how they do, because they don't have a target on their back for once. They get to go
Right.
in with that underdog role and no pressure, and I could totally see them being the 3 or 4 seed that beats a 1 seed, in the Sweet 16.
Are you going to go to any of the tournaments or tournaments? I don't know how to say it. This time of year, everybody says tournaments. Somebody sent me a thing. The English people say tournaments.
I do.
The American people say tournaments. I don't give a shit either way. I just want to know if I'm going to meet you at 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these conference tournaments here in town, because we got 6. How much does it help you to see this stuff in person as opposed to just on TV?
No, going is not helpful, I don't think. Going and spending 2, 3 hours watching 2 teams this time of year is not. I'm not saying I'm not going to try to go, but it is probably a waste of
That
time to
sounded like
go
you
see
said
a
you're
game
not
live.
going. That's fine. I'll go with
It
someone
makes
else.
sense though,
I'll
right? I mean,
FOMO.
he
Hear
can
me-
watch 8, 10, 15 teams on a Saturday or go to
Yeah,
one
like,
game. I mean, it's a
and then
big
hear me out.
difference.
So we got the mobile coming in mass on March 10th,
Right.
the Friday of conference tournaments. So I'm probably not going anywhere that Friday or Saturday, because we don't even know what we're going to be dealing with those 2 days. So yeah, it's gonna be madness for that.
Okay. All right.
Well,
That's
our second week of
you know,
mobile and mass is going to be NCAA tournament. So
Have
That-
you gone to Encore yet? Have you seen your property yet in Boston?
I went in the summer. It is gorgeous. The book is gorgeous, and from what I've read, they're expanding. So they're going to have a second sports book, or sports betting parlor, I think is what they called it
Yeah.
in the papers.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the place is gorgeous. I mean, it really is, just like walking through the Winter Encore in
It's
Las
crazy.
Vegas. It's beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
so weird.
No,
You pinch yourself. You're like, wait, am I back?
Yeah.
What's going on? How did I teleport all the way back to Vegas? And the book
Yeah.
is nice. I like the way it's set up. That it's really going to be fun to watch mobile. And I can't believe I'm going to get to go back to my home state and sit on my couch and actually bet, and not have to drive to New Hampshire anymore, and do it actually in my house, which is going to be so wild. What's your outlook in terms of the Big East Conference? Because I have a ticket on Creighton to win the championship, to win the Big East.
Maddie, just be truthful. Tell
Yes.
them the truth, because they're not winning the tournament. Just
They
tell
may
them.
not, but Nova, I'm curious. What's your take on
Oh.
Villanova and how well they're playing? They just smacked the Jays over the weekend. They're playing as well as anybody in the conference right now in the Big East. Who do you like out there?
Yeah, Villanova's interesting. I had to drop them. So we have in Massachusetts only right now, not in the other states. We have all the power conferences up. So we have Big East up, and we took a bet, I think, on Villanova 20-1 the other day, and I had to go down to 12-1. I do think that they're peaking maybe a little too soon. They're putting a little bit of they're putting themselves on the radar for the rest of the conference. I mean, every single team in that tournament is going to be dying to be the ones that kicks Villanova's ass after what they've done to everybody else in the tournament over the years. So it looks like UConn is finding their form again. They're starting to play like they were back in November. So I think that you got to have respect for them. And
you don't buy Marquette though, right? You don't buy them, right?
They're good, but yeah, they're a surprise. I don't know. I think they're probably a step behind. They're maybe a little more vulnerable in terms of getting upset, but it's going to be a really interesting tournament. You got Providence is one of those teams that just is really gritty. They're always in the mix in the tournament. That's the team we need to fade actually the most. They love betting Providence up in Massachusetts, so we really need Providence.
Jeff Benny, baby.
That's the Maddie. That's the only place they bet Providence, though, because all on Twitter and all over the country, Providence is the team that doesn't deserve to even be favored in games. They're always too not high enough. Like, people love betting against them, so that's crazy to hear that. Oh, wait, in New England they like betting Providence.
Yeah. Providence is Providence and UConn are college basketball teams we got to avoid. It's nothing quite like the Celtics and Bruins, who are quite a thorn in our side right now. But
damn it, they're a thorn in your side. We named the show Bostonia versus the Book on a whim. The Bruins win every goddamn day.
I mean,
the Celtics win every day. It's
Don't worry,
annoying
though,
as hell.
the Celtics lose when they sit everybody, and they're 9-point underdogs. Though, so
That's
Yeah,
it.
right. That's
It's
that's
only
what it
happened
is.
16 times all season. It's unbelievable.
Risk management.
Um,
It's funny because even Dave, speaking of Providence, the pros were betting Georgetown this past weekend, which I was like, I don't understand. The line was coming down on that. They won by 22 points over. It was
how do
like,
you bet Georgetown ever? Like
I don't know. I was like, I laid
Yeah.
Providence. I was like, thank you. I'm laying 7 points. I was like, Kempom had it at 10. I was like, Georgetown's horrific. Like, what are we doing?
listen,
Actually, sitting there and Providence went in there and killed them. It was over at halftime.
they don't get it right either all
True.
the time. We've talked about this. This is why the books exist and guys like Maddie sit there and take the bets. I used to say the same thing. Let them bet it. Move the number. It's fine. Speaking of numbers, you do a tremendous job with the baseball. Always have, and you put so much work into like season wins and different things like that. How's the baseball handle been at Wynnbet? And throw the people a bone a little bit. Maybe a team or two that maybe they're not looking at. And of course, you better say the Red Sox season win under.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we need that so badly. I couldn't even tell you.
Everyone, I mean, what person in Boston is walking into Encore going, give me the Red Sox under 78.5 wins?
I don't know.
Nobody.
I don't know if this makes me a good or bad bookmaker, but I opened it low. We opened it at 76.5, and we let them bet it at 76.5, and we let them bet it at 77. We let them bet it at 77.5. And then I clicked it up to 78 the other day, and someone came under us. Okay, we got to go back.
That's it. Get it back down.
I mean, we're going to need it badly, but I don't want to give away a bunch of sharp money under. So we need Red Sox to stay under 76.5 for quite a bit. We have all the win totals up in Mass right now. They're all minus 105. We've gotten some action on Nationals under, but we shaded that up a little bit. We've gotten, I think they've been betting Twins over, which I don't see that one necessarily.
Minnesota people bet the Twins over every time, and now the sharp guys, they always bet the Minnesota Twins over.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I don't know. I mean, most of the action has been stuff we've been looking for where we've been off market. We took some Marlins over money because I mean that number seems really, really crazy to me this year that they're up in the mid 70s. I mean, they're gonna have to keep everybody healthy all year for that to hit. So we've taken some Marlins over, but I'll be honest. I mean, they really did a pretty good job this year. You know, Dave, you talked to me about the Pirates over like way back when it was 62.5. I mean, I wish I'd gotten that, but now it's up to like 66.5.
66.5. Yeah.
You can't bet it at that number. So,
Yep.
Really the only thing, and it just absolutely terrifies me to go because I think I gave out Braves under last year and they made me look really bad, but I don't see how the Dodgers are winning 98 games this year, 97 games. I mean,
in that division,
they have suffered so much attrition through losing guys with free agency and injuries over the last couple of years. I mean, the pitching staff isn't even remotely as deep as it's been, and Walker Buehler's out for the year. Lost guys in the bullpen. I mean, you get past Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, it's just really not that imposing of a lineup. So I think with the Padres emerging they just look like a juggernaut to me. Giants should be competitive. D-backs look like they're improving. I mean, how did the Dodgers win 97? I mean, I know they won 111 last year, but it's a big ask.
So how much does the schedule change? Because the baseball rule changes are going to be a mess. Like as far as it's going to be an adjustment to make totals. I think games are going to go over a lot more than they were in the past without the shift and all the bases being bigger. But like the schedule change, the good teams in divisions like the Centrals aren't going to play those other teams 19 times anymore. They're playing them 13 times. That's 20 games like in the AL Central that they don't play the Tigers, the Royals, and the other bad team in that division. So the White Sox, can't just feast on that. That come into play at all with the season numbers?
Yeah, I spent so much time reading about the schedule changes, trying to figure out how much it benefited and hurt, certain teams. And the takeaway, I really had was the NL Central was probably the most hurt of any. I mean, the AL Central's hurt, but you get to play more interleague games against the National League. The NL Central's got to play more games against the American League now, and they don't get to play as many games against each other. So I played Reds under is another one I played, which, I mean, really not anything cute to it. I just don't understand how that team's winning 68 games with, Luis Castillo's a Mariner now, Tyler Mahley's a Twin. You're asking Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo to be the aces of a staff for a 162-game season. I don't see how they're winning 68 games.
Between the Reds and the Pirates, it's been unders has been almost an annuity that we continue to
Yeah.
get every year. And that's your team, that's my team, and it sucks. I would just wish they would get good sometimes. It sucks.
Well,
Yeah,
and
you know, like the Pirates and the one team that I think, if you look at how things set up, the Tigers look like they should make a big jump this year, but I can't bet on these organizations like the Pirates and Tigers. You see it in the betting markets too. I'm sitting there every day. I'm like, man, these betting markets fucking hate the Tigers. Like they just do not like the Tigers. So you can't, no matter what it looks like on paper, that team, you can't bet over on teams like that. Organizations like that, they're not really committed to winning. So,
Nope.
So when we've talked last year in August and September, we were talking a lot about the Orioles and what they were doing with this young nucleus, that they were getting experience, they were beating teams up, and now they head into this year without having to see the Yankees nearly as many times as they have in years past. What's your take on Baltimore?
I don't know what to think of. I mean, it is crazy to me. I did not think that they were going to be in the, upper 70s in terms of win total. I thought it was going to be more in like the 75, 74 range. But I mean, the organization, unlike the Pirates and Tigers and those, some of those other organizations, they're doing it right. They've built it up the right way. It seems like they know what they need to do, the types of guys they need. So you can trust that organization a little bit more. I mean, it's a really tough ask. You really want to ask them to go win 80 games again when, the Red Sox and none of those teams in the division are laying down. That's the best division in baseball most years. So
Yes.
I don't know what to think. I think they're going to be an exciting team, but yeah, 80 wins again. I don't know.
Last question for me, sir, before we let you go, get back to work. You know what T-Foss would say, right? You remember? I mean, like, and I got to ask you a hockey question before on the way out.
Oh, man.
Are the Bruins going to win the fucking Stanley Cup? Like, seriously. I mean, he's wearing this fucking Bruins hat. We're going to talk about the Bruins. I wore the Oilers shirt. I'm trying everything I can to resist this. You're taking bets in Massachusetts now.
Oh, good luck with that.
I mean, seriously, who's taking his team down, Matthew?
I don't know. I mean, we have so we got the young guys, the hockey guys in the room, and they're sitting there trying to justify why the Bruins aren't going to win the Stanley Cup. And I'm saying it sounds like wishful thinking over there, but I don't know. We really got to fade at least one of these two teams, the Celtics or the Bruins. I will say thank God for Kevin Durant. I mean, what a blessing for him to go to Phoenix, because that catapults them when they have him and Booker on the court with Ayton and Paul. That'll put them well above everyone else in terms of power ratings. So I can sleep a little easier at night. But the Bruins, I don't know. I haven't followed hockey. I don't know who's supposed to do it, but they just win every single night.
Every night.
Goalies are scoring. It's a beautiful thing. Matty, great stuff, man. Thank you for coming on. We'll do it again soon, all right?
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That is Matt Lindeman from Wynnbet.